welcome to Check Out This Guy. This is the podcast where, I don't know, it's a holiday. Let's just hang out. I'm Emery. My pronouns are they, she, he. Happy New Year, everyone.
Holiday. Like the Green Day song. I'm Morg. My pronouns are they, he, and I'm just here.
Hi, I'm Izzy. I don't like pronouns today. I'm very sleepy because I stayed up till like 5:30 in the morning, actually building a guy.
True, you did build a guy.
Yeah, I told Izzy that I wasn't sleeping well because I was hyperfixating so much on the Digimon TCG, and then Izzy was just like, "Okay, hold my beer."
Izzy was like, "I will also. Let's just do this together."
Mm-hmm.
Solidarity.
Whereas my ass is sleeping too much, you know? Not to brag. I always feel like I'm bragging to you guys when I'm like, wow, I sleep so much. It's kind of like a problem. I wonder if I have narcolepsy problem. I don't think it's quite to that level yet, but it is something on my radar, you know? Damn, if only I could get ideas in my sleep, you know? Remember my dreams later.
Eidolon would be even more messed up then.
This is gonna be a loose episode. We could talk about Eidolon if you guys want to.
I would love to talk about Eidolon.
Yeah, we could kind of do that as it's gonna be loose. It's gonna be it's unfinished because it's still in progress. We're at a paused point at the moment, but I can at least talk about certain things, and you guys can talk about your characters.
I feel like this won't be a full official Eidolon episode. We might talk about other stuff. I don't feel like I'm not really in the headspace to focus on a single topic for an hour, you know?
I'm not in the headspace to focus on anything. Also, I just noticed I have a splinter, and I'm going to try to take care of that real quick.
Oh no.
Oh shit, yeah, go ahead.
Am I the only one in a semi-normal mind space?
Sounds like it. How's that going for you?
Morg, have you ever been in a normal mind space?
No. Never. I'm dying.
Y'all are.
You're so right.
I either got it or I at least made it not as bad, so.
Okay, good. Yeah, so just as a preface, at least for this part of the episode, Eidolon Become Your Best Self is a tabletop game written by oh my gosh, Luke SS Speed Racer and Molly, your friend Molly online, and they have a whole podcast about it. That's not what this is about. But I'm running a campaign that I had been calling Eidolon Urbex because the game started as an Urbex, an urban explorer club on a college campus was how the characters kind of met each other. And Izzy and Emery were two of the players.
Yeah.
And they're all different playbooks, and they fell into the Undertow because there was a big nasty puddle in an abandoned tunnel.
My plushie said, "Get in there."
Yeah. There's a lot of backgroundy stuff to everyone has their own funny little histories. Izzy's character had already been there. Emery's character is from there.
Yeah, why don't we talk about the broad stuff first?
Mm-hmm.
My character is Snake Ontario, parentheses, that's not the real name, obviously. And they are the Inhuman playbook, which means, that they're basically like a funny little otherworldly monster sort of masquerading as a human. Yeah, I haven't said this officially, but I think it's pretty clear by now that their true form is like a giant serpent.
Mhm.
Um
Big Loch Ness monster energy.
mhm, mhm. And yeah, their Eidolon is overseas, named after a song by Baths. And they're a funny little guy. They're pretending to be a 21-year-old college student, but actually like they're a cryptid from like the mid 20th century. They're dressed very much like a JoJo character. Like they have uh like snakeskin boots that are like also pants. You know how sometimes a pair of pants will just like have boots on the end of them? That's what we're dealing with here. And they wear like a red checkered coat with like a fucking white fur collar and like this kind of like fishnet half capelet. They're pretty fucking dressing, if I do say so myself. And they're just like kind of a big flamboyant gay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the game is very like heavily inspired by JoJo Bizarre Adventure and Persona games and stuff. Like you have a little guy. In our campaign and a lot of other people's campaigns, they named their like Force Ghost attacker guy. It would be like a stand or a persona. A lot of times they're named after songs, hence overseas.
Yeah. In JoJo's, everything gets named after pop culture. Not just the stands. And that's kind of the route I went in a way. I should say that at the time that you started the campaign, I was listening to Aurelio Voltaire's The Black Labyrinth, A Requiem for the Goblin King. That's an album. I was listening to it on loop. It is basically a tribute to David Bowie, and the concept of it is it's like, what if there was a sequel to Labyrinth where everyone's dealing with the fact that the Goblin King just died?
Interesting. I didn't know that part. I knew that your Eidolon was named after you, and your Eidolon are named after the album Hunky Dory.
Yeah. And there's reasons why that album in particular. But her power is.
Did you say her name? Did you say her name?
I thought you did. Actually,
well, I said Dorothy.
No, I didn't. Anyway, her name is Dorothy Doyle. So now I've become distracted. I'm sorry. The name of Dorothy, you're right, it comes from Hunky Dory. That's the album with changes on it. And the reason why she's named that is I went with the Alchemist playbook, which is kind of your, it's kind of like your middle JoJo's, stand type, where it's turning one thing into another type of thing, and her specific Eidolon power is turning inanimate objects into an animate equivalent. And Hunky Dory is the album with changes on it. So that's where we got it from. So her name's Dorothy. Her Eidolon's name, well, her Eidolon is this little plush rat that she's had since she was a baby, named Hunky.
It even before the trip to the Undertow, when they're all like young adults now, Hunky had some weirdness to him. He could every time someone tried to get rid of him, because he was kind of an old, torn up a little bit plush, he always came back. That was kind of the one thing he could do. And now he's kind of alive-ish. He can float. He can communicate with you.
Think like a weird combination of Rizzo from the Muppets and the Tails doll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
What, can I talk about her backstory?
Go for it.
Okay. So, you know those horrible, like, Lifetime movies that they make? They'll be like some weird or fucked up thing, but they try to spin it like to be like super nice and pretend that it's wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Her childhood, well, she was a child. As a baby, she was famous as Baby Dory, this little baby that got kidnapped and was missing, I don't know, for a couple months. Eventually they arrested her dad and threw him in jail for that and a bunch of other stuff, and he's been there for about the last 20 years, but they have turned the Baby Dory story into movies like that repeatedly over the years, and her mom has made massive bank off of those story rights.
Yeah, her mom sucks.
Her mom sucks so bad. We haven't even gotten into the reasons why her mom sucks.
She hasn't even, like, shown up in the story. It's just, like, always the background. It's like, oh, she sucks.
Uh-huh.
And once Snake, like, did some investigating into, like, what happened with, what happened in Dorothy's past, and he found out that, like, oh, actually she wasn't kidnapped, she just got, like, disappeared to the Undertow, the sort of psychic otherworld that Snake themselves came from.
She could have told you that.
They were immediately like, hey, what about your dad? Are you gonna get him out of prison? And Dorothy was like, no, so Snake just did it. Oh yeah, and I don't think I ever said what Overseas does. It makes the unknown unknowable, so they can kind of put like the cryptid filter on anything as long as like the observer like doesn't know what it is. Like, they can make their own appearance unknowable, so no one has actually seen their true form, just kind of like a blurry, unrecognizable shape. And like they can make certain pieces of information unknowable, so you can just like look at a thing and just like not recognize what you're seeing. Like their own name is unknowable to everyone except them, but they can't turn that one off for some reason.
Yeah, that's why everyone
They would like to be called by their actual name, but it's not not working out for them.
That's why everyone knows them as Snake Ontario, as in Lake Ontario, because the whole game takes place in kind of like I said it in like a really vaguely like upstate New York area, but like I jokingly made it, and now I mean it's real in the game, but like I made it into it's so stupid. I made it into Big
That's
Michigan.
not the stupid thing.
I made it into Big Michigan is kind of what we've been calling it, but
Yeah.
because the state of Michigan was like, what if we had all of the Great Lakes inside of us instead? And we were just one big state with like parts of, you know, upstate New York, parts of like Pittsburgh and stuff. Like, what? Not parts of Pennsylvania is what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Parts of Ohio, you know, like that kind of, the Great Lakes region is all Big Michigan.
I will just say, like, sometime recently, like, in the middle of this campaign, I did move to be next to a Great Lake, so I don't know.
Yeah, now
Perhaps these two things are related, who could say?
you're part of Big Michigan now. Congrats.
I'm in Big Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm living here.
Yeah, me too. So, hence why I said it there. The stupid part that Izzy is talking about is that it's an alternate universe where I made the president of the United States, Jim Parsons, aka Sheldon from Big Bang Theory's actor.
And then it got worse.
Yeah. Yeah, and his campaign did have to do with the show, the Bazinga, because I was like, this is so stupid, I can't not do that, right? Like, if I'm gonna fucking do this, I gotta go whole hog into it. But, and then I had jokingly done, like, an off-the-cuff kind of like, oh yeah, this name that Dorothy recognized maybe around campus was, Kevin Sorbet. And he was kind of positioned as like the Donald Trump, like, oh, people don't take him seriously, but he's actually winning situation. You can perhaps tell what his name is supposed to be in real life, but also he's also the person that Dorothy's mom is in a relationship with at the moment.
Yeah.
So Dorothy may or may not become the stepdaughter of the president, depending on how stuff goes.
I guess we'll see.
And
I guess we'll
see.
And for very weird in-game reasons, so Dorothy is a junior in college. She hasn't gone home for Thanksgiving yet. But for in-game reasons, to arrange things to where she could avoid suspicion for something else, she has made arrangements to go home for Thanksgiving, or go visit her mom for Thanksgiving this year. And it's good. And we're in October currently.
Oh, we're like, I think we're like in like November 1st area now, kind of.
Yeah,
like well,
we had an appointment for November 1st.
Right.
So yeah, Dorothy is kind of a rockabilly punk type character in a lot of ways. But you know, so she keeps her hair short and straightened and dyes it black as part of her look, and she dresses in rockabilly fashion, that sort of stuff. Yeah, November 1st in game, she is going to the salon, getting her natural blonde curls and extensions to make it long, and she is going to be wearing, like, very puritanical outfits for a while, and it's gonna be awful. I fucking hate it. Why did I do this to her?
We hate gender performance here on Check Out This Guy.
Also, this is going to be like... This also means it's like gonna be election week.
Yup.
And when Morg said that Kevin Sorbet was running for president and was doing well in the polls and all, I thought Morg was just fucking with me because it never got mentioned again. And then Morg was like, yeah, that's a thing. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Kevin Sorbet real.
It's funny. If it's funny, it's probably happening. The problem is that Eidolon can be very funny and very serious at the same time. And so I rolled with it. Because, yeah, I did rip off the first season, perhaps a little bit of Eidolon playtest where they had Dracula as the president. It's fine. Don't worry, he's not the vampire. Actually, he should be. That'd be pretty fucking great, but he's not.
The Bazinga Man is a vampire?
No, he's not. But yeah, I mean, I set up a whole, like, opening thing, kind of like an opening sprawl, I guess, where, like, several stupid contrivances ended up with him as president. And several politicians are now perhaps dead.
We keep on referring to him as different things. None of us know his name, do we?
His name is Jim Parsons. But
okay.
Yeah, that's what I called him.
Fortunately, I do know.
Okay.
I did know. I was like, he's the first gay president. Real. But yeah, there's a lot of the game has been a little bit like new stuff is happening all the time because the game started off as like this little in-between thing we were gonna do between our like fellowship while Izzy had to take like a break from GMing. But then it went it kind of spiraled out of control because we were all having like fun with it. So it just keeps going, and I'm glad. So maybe in another universe, Kevin Sorbet would not be president, but in this one, he's running for, he's doing well. Maybe I'll draw a card and see if he actually wins or not.
You did figure out the one way for me to be like, I hope the Bazinga Man wins.
Yeah.
Can we talk about how half of Dorothy's family is living in like a squatter house with Snake?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. It's just funny to say no.
Well, we have to also talk about the fact that Dorothy has a brother she didn't know about due to Undertow shenanigans.
That was never discussed with me.
Yeah, I felt bad at first. We talked through it afterwards. This is making me sound like a bad guy, so I'm just clarifying. We did talk it through after.
Oh, but I like surprises is the thing.
I do too, but
if they're good, it's just, it was very unexpected. Also, she did, like, this guy started out as an enemy, and she did, like, give him a grievous wound.
Yeah,
he's started off in, like, a mindless state and was attacking us, and Dorothy fucking stabbed the man.
So, he was a shade in the Undertow, an enemy they ran into who was looking for them on a train, and he looked like his shade form is kind of a naked mole rat man because he's based like really vaguely on the Rochester rat dog cryptid. And he has
I just remembered the picture.
yeah. But because of how I had made I made plans for whether like how the if he was killed or not. Like I had a backup if that had happened and how everything was gonna go. But he touched the Hunky, the little stuffed animal rat, which seemed to have like a part of his memories in it. And he seemed to come back to himself. And he was like, I was a human before, and I became this shade creature. And his name's Tom, because I couldn't just not do Major Tom from
yeah, another David Bowie name.
Oh, there's so many good David Bowie names. She could have this whole huge extended family, and you wouldn't run out of names.
David Bowie song, yeah. Someone could probably do a David Bowie like Eidolon short game. That'd probably be cool. Like how they have like themes for the little short one-offs, but yeah, and Dorothy, whose fear is like unknown
not
stuff.
Not being able to trust her own senses.
Yeah, her fear is not being able to trust her own senses, and she can't trust her mind either, apparently, because she has a brother she didn't know about due to... I don't want to get too much into it because it's like getting in the weeds of the Eidolon podcast, but like people kind of can be erased from history. And I like borrowed some of that from my game. Yeah. And so it wasn't just Dorothy doesn't know she has a brother. It's no one knows that she has a brother, including her parents who ostensibly gave birth to Tom.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like he's a non-person right now, and he's,
rude.
Well, I mean, like, in history, he's a non-person. He is a person in, like, the sense of, like, monsters or people in other media, and I like to do that kind of stuff, but...
yeah, and that's why Snake kind of took him in, because, like, Snake is, like, not human. Like, they came in from another dimension and just kind of started, like, living in the Niagara Falls area, like, with, like, no identity or, like, documentation or anything. So, like, they just kind of, like, figured out how to, like, get by and survive, like, kind of on the margins of society without, like, really engaging with, like, any of the things you need, like, a real actual driver's license for. So yeah, that's, like, why they're squatting in a house, and, they're just like, okay, this guy's in the same situation as me, I guess he can come live with me.
Yeah, speaking of Snake, and Dorothy's biggest fear, the way Snake's power works is it kinda fucks with your senses. So that's not great.
Yeah, not great for the girl who's been, like, gaslit for her entire life to make her believe that she was kidnapped by her father instead of he's tied into the undertow.
Yeah, and very much gaslit by, like, the entire world, because she, like, knew that was false, and she spent decades being convinced that she was just a little bit crazy and had invented a bunch of stuff out of trauma.
Yeah, she was heavily based on the baby from Labyrinth, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Grown up. Like,
Uh-huh.
what would happen to this kid?
Mm-hmm.
So hey, why didn't Dorothy want to break her dad out of jail?
Oh, why didn't Dorothy want to break her dad out of jail? I mean, this is gonna, without context, this is gonna make Dorothy sound a lot worse. But Dorothy is a trust fund kid. She has to graduate college by age 23, or she loses it all. There's all sorts of other stipulations that her mom has put on this. One of which is that she cannot have any contact with her dad, Douglas Doyle.
Douglas Doyle is a poor bastard who was just locked up in prison for unjustly. Even if no one could say, hey, your daughter was taken to the Undertow, because if no one knows about the Undertow, they can still be like, hey, your daughter was kidnapped by someone else who wasn't you, but we're blaming you because there's corrupt sheriffs involved.
Yeah, and got him for like a bunch of other shady shit too that didn't happen.
Yeah, he was just kind of a normal guy, and like I try to play him as a normal guy because yeah, he's a character. He's an NPC in this campaign now because Snake did break him out, and yeah,
Can I just say, it is so fun to play Snake against Douglas, just because, like, Snake is, like, so flamboyant and outlandish, and, like, just doing supernatural shit, and Douglas is just like a normal guy who's kind of caught up in all of it.
Hey, Douglas has an Eidolon now.
Douglas has an Eidolon to no fault of his own or the group, because somehow you guys haven't figured that out yet, and I perhaps won't tell you for a while, but somehow he got pushed into the Undertow.
I mean, Dorothy would have asked, but she didn't know that he got there independently.
Yeah.
When she talked to him last.
Yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, Douglas he's a dad. He's very quiet. He's kind of got, like, I kind of tried to go for, like, this, like, maybe he's a little bit closed off because he's, not just because he's been in prison for a while, but also because, like, he was just, like, some, like, cis man that grew up in, I don't know. Well, the timeline is ambiguous, but he's a couple decades old at least, He's got the vibe, and
yeah.
So, and it's like, oh, I don't know how to express myself, and I don't know how to, and he does a better job than probably a lot of real life dudes, because I can't seem to play that. Like, he accepts he doesn't know it's his son, but he does accept his son, in quotes, being gay. He's just like, he's kind of just like, I don't know.
Oh, so talk about Douglas, like, is making me think of that conversation that they had. So a couple more things about Dorothy real quick. One, she is actually a genius. She just has to get a degree, but she's out there stunting because she is getting a degree in nuclear engineering.
Yeah.
And then because of like all of the stuff with the way she was treated her whole life, She's someone who is constantly wearing masks. So that conversation where she was trying to get over the weirdness of meeting Douglas was extremely fun, because she just kind of walked in like she owned the joint and had a very commanding presence, which isn't really how she acts normally. But it was pretty fun for her to just kind of come in and own the scene at Snake's house.
Snake and Dorothy are people who have been forced together through circumstances who would not be friends otherwise.
Sure.
I think they would be friends under different circumstances.
Well, maybe you're saying that because, like...
Well, Dorothy doesn't know how to make friends,
yeah,
so...
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't know if that's true in the sense that, like, they're not literally you, Izzy, and Emery. You guys, yes, obviously, but, like, Dorothy as just, like, a regular college student, and Snake just as, like, not a regular college student, but trying to pretend to be one. It's hard to say they would be in similar classes. It's hard to say they'd be in similar clubs. It's hard to say any of this. That's all I meant. Like, I wasn't like... But due to the circumstances...
I thought you were referencing the fact that they fought constantly.
That too. That on top of it.
That too.
But, like, they're very different people.
Yes.
Who've been thrown together.
Yes.
And because the way they've been...
they might have more similarities than differences, though.
And I think that's part of the
They do have a lot of similarities, but they still are very different people, you know?
Yeah.
The reason, like, I have family that fight is because they're too similar to each other, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. It's like you have enough, like, flaws that are similar that you clash, and like I think that's interesting, and I think that, and because of how you were thrown together and how you've treated each other, you just had fought for like a long time, and you're finally in this place where you might actually get along, and it's very tentative and it's very interesting.
Hey, Emery, would you mind? Would you mind sharing Snake's perspective?
Gosh, yeah, Snake does think that Dorothy kind of sucks. Like, they think that she's well, she is trying to be better about it, so they recognize that. But like, yeah, they do see her as being like kind of selfish and impulsive and like someone who just like generally doesn't think about like other people, you know. Cuz like first adventure they went on, like she did stab her brother, and you know there are circumstances around that. They were being attacked, but still like it
would have never happened if she would have gotten to do her plan that everyone foiled.
Yeah, she wouldn't have stabbed him. She would have just thrown him off a train.
He would have thrown himself off the train. There's a difference.
Either way, he would have still gotten hurt, and that's what matters. But...
And yeah, like... Yeah, Snake is, like... I think... You know, Snake's similarity to Dorothy is that, like, they are also someone who's been sort of, like, forced to hide themselves and, like, have lived, you know, generally have a hard time trusting people initially, just because, like, you know, Snake's whole deal is that they are pursued by, like, basically the Undertow cops, known as Extrasolar, which is another, you know, named after another Beth song. And, you know, Extrasolar are kind of like the Men in Black who, like, you know, show up and start asking people questions, like anytime there's like a UFO in the sky or like cryptid sightings or anything like that. And yeah, they've just made like a bunch of Snake's friends and a bunch of other shades just like fully disappear, like
Yeah.
just fucking gonzo. So like Snake is like,
They're the Men in Black of this world.
Snake has like a lot of tragedy and a lot of trauma in their life, and their kind of response to it is just to be like, fuck it, I guess I'll just be funny. I guess I'll just like be a huge flamboyant weirdo and have a lot of fun because no one really gives a shit about me.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why I think that there is so much conflict between the two of them is the way that you just described how Snake thinks of Dorothy. And I'm gonna say I think it's very inaccurate.
Okay. From Snake's perspective, they were just like, hey, your dad is unjustly imprisoned.
Oh, no,
like, the
no,
father
like,
you never knew.
That part is entirely justifiable. That was selfish, and she flat out said that, she just flat out said, yes, this is selfish. But also, she doesn't know the man, and she doesn't know if he's a good person or anything. So she was like, yeah, go for it if you want to, but I'm not going to be seen at that prison.
Also,
she was also thinking ahead of, she could do a lot of good for him in a couple years. That she could potentially lose out on. But her thing is that she overthinks and tries to plan for everything. She doesn't ever run into stuff without a plan or without thinking things through, because she's actually bad at that and avoids it at all costs. So
whereas Snake is much more like, fuck it, I could die tomorrow. YOLO, bitch.
Yeah. But
let's go fucking break into prison. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. But Snake accuses Dorothy of being the way that Snake is when it's not true. And is like, hey, you're this way, that sucks, you suck. And, like, would never acknowledge that Dorothy could even be competent at things. So she, if anything, that kind of egged her on trying to prove herself.
Yeah. That's why I think, like, the conflict is interesting, and I never wanted to be, like, I wanted to strike this balance between, like, having you guys have issues, but still move the plot forward. Because, there is, like, a game you have to play with tabletop games where, like, you kind of have to agree on stuff to, like, move it forward. And I think we did an okay job. I think it was kind of an interesting, like, game to play there. But I also just wanted to say, like, I think it's also just something that maybe is a lot less present in game, but is more present as you guys are talking about your characters, is like there's a class difference between your characters, and I think that influences a lot of how you approach this stuff. Because Snake is very, like, living on the margins. Like, yes, they have the benefit that a lot of people on the margins wouldn't have, where they can kind of be more stealthy about stuff and, like, hide that they're stealing shit. But they still have to deal with this, like, overwhelming, like, presence on them. Whereas, like, Dorothy has to deal a lot more with, like, intra-conflict with her life and her family, because she's a lot, like, better off. Like, even if it's a very she's better off but not rich yes, we called her a trust fund kid, but the fact that it can be taken away at, like, a moment's notice is, like, part of that. Like, that she's not really. But, like, they're still, like, she's definitely... They're both, like, they both put on masks, they both wear masks, they both, you know, have these ideas that they have to, like, make very quick judgments about other people and each other, and that causes problems, where, like, Dorothy feels like she's being belittled by Snake, and Snake feels like Dorothy's not taking shit seriously because of these, like, opposite approaches to similar conflict with other people.
Yeah, and I will say, like, important thing to know about Snake, you know, for all of their devil may care attitude, like, they do, like, really, they are, like, very protective of other people, and, you know, like, they've faced, like, so much danger and, like, so, you know, seen so much tragedy in their life. They're like, okay, I want to, like, do everything I can to keep other people safe and, you know, make sure people are cared for, like, you know, even if I'm also being shitty to them sometimes, you know.
Snake is both, like, Snake is both 100 and, like, 20 at the same time, also, where, like, they've lived a long time, but they still have a lot of, like, a lot of the devil may care attitude, making them come off as, like, maybe not... They've learned a lot, but they still are, like... You can still kind of see them as just being a weird 21-year-old. In a lot of ways. Because, like, they still, like, do this shit that you can see, like, kids doing. I think it's kind of fun that you guys are all, like, playing characters that... I mean, except for Snake, are younger than who we are, because we're also, you know, we're playing with the Fellowship group, so it's also Dan and Pat, and
yeah, they have excellent characters, but they aren't here today.
Yeah.
Dan is playing a Beast playbook. He's playing a cat named Elton, named after, like, yeah, like the musician, because her Eidolon is Macavity, as in, like, from Cats, the musical. And Pat is playing a character named Jacob, who is kind of this image of, like, a YouTuber we call ViewCube. his choice, not mine. But is also, like, a very, like... He's very, like, sweet, but often in his own world, and very, like, having to, like, face tragedy really, really fast, because, like, someone just fucking dies in front of him. It's fine.
And Snake doesn't know what the hell Jacob is talking about, like, 80% of the time.
Jacob is so funny because Jacob is basically in a different campaign from the rest of us sometimes.
Yeah.
I love it, though. I've told, like, because Pat was asking me about this, like, hey, like, you know, wanted, like, feedback on this character, and I was like, I love Jacob. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, as long as you're having fun and everyone's having fun, I'm fine with how you're playing Jacob, because he's great.
There was that moment in the last session where Jacob revealed that he, like, knew some potentially important stuff and had known about it for weeks and just never mentioned it. And Dorothy and Snake both just had, like, oh boy, why the fuck did you not think to mention this before now?
And Jacob
just
had a
same
very
reaction.
good reason. I think he had a very good reasoning behind it. I I understand. Like, yeah.
I'm not saying he had a bad reasoning behind it. It was just the shared reaction was so funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's really funny also that he's like had to start just like canonically started taking like meds because he saw someone die in front of him. Like, yeah, he's kind of traumatized. Because he is not from this world. Snake is from this world. Dorothy has some experience with this, and Elton is a cat, so she's just rolling with the punches. Jacob is like, I am just a normal guy, and now I have superpowers, and I'm fucking terrified. But also, he's also really good at, like, just coming up with shit on the fly, too, because he's the Navigator playbook, and they're, like, big brain. So we have a lot of brainy people in our campaign, but they're also all fucking do stupid shit, and I love it, because they're kids.
I just realized something. Morg, I don't think you'll understand this, but it just dawned on me. Like, if Jacob started, like, live streaming stuff that's happening and narrating it, Jacob would be the Speedwagon.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think Jacob would love...
And a Speedwagon is one of my favorite types of guys.
The problem is that Jacob would love to do that, but a lot of it ends up being blurry, either because of Snake's power or an unknown power that is kind of been hinted at vaguely for you guys in the background, especially recently. So there's a lot of, like, mysterious, we're making shit harder for people who don't have Eidolons thing in the background. Like, more and more people are having Eidolons, but it's still a pretty new phenomena.
I think if Jacob started narrating Snake's Snake's actions, they would be like, "Please stop it, dear. Your voice isn't nearly glamorous enough."
Ooh, that's so mean.
Oh, why Snake gotta be that way all the time?
Snake doesn't want to be narrated by a straight person. They can't capture the vibe adequately.
Jacob also has to deal with the fact that, like, because he is involved with all this stuff, that his girlfriend may or may not be in danger in the future, which isn't great for him.
Also, Snake is just kind of a huge drama queen. They love it. They're a messy bitch who lives for the drama.
I love how Dan and Pat, like, capture their characters, too. Because, like, we've talked about Patrick's, but, like, Dan is just like, I know certain things because I'm a cat that lived at a mall for a long time, but I'm also an animal, so shit is just coming out of my mouth about, like, pack hunting and stuff. And it's very good.
Yeah, I became sapient, like, a month ago. What's going on?
Yeah? Oh, God.
For a while, Elton was kind of holding the group together because people were
literally, yeah.
Yeah.
And we had the idea of, Elton doesn't understand anything about morality, so we're like, hey, here, watch The Good Place.
Yeah, like, human morality is just like, you know...
And Elton at first was treating it as if it was a documentary.
We're just like and then Jacob, because Patrick can't help himself, also put Homestuck on the fucking tablet.
Yep.
Listen to our Homestuck episode.
Or don't.
Or don't.
That was mean of me. I shouldn't say that. Go listen to it.
No, it's fine.
I might have a little bit of PTSD from it.
I thought you barely remember anything about it.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't remember things, but I remember the vibes.
But yeah,
The vibes are rancid.
it's been really fun to play with you guys, especially since I haven't
Yep.
run a tabletop game in like years, and I had never run Eidolon, and when I was running a game, it was like interstitial, so I had a lot of like media background stuff I could pull from, and I still can. The nice thing about Eidolon is I can just like throw shit in there, like Cats has come up multiple times. Alice in Wonderland, you know, with the Cheshire Cat, and Labyrinth. I've snuck in some stuff about Slender Man in there because I can't help myself, apparently. And that's just like, if I think of like weird, scary shit that makes things unknowable, I think of Slender Man. I don't know. But, yeah.
There's a mouse twink.
There's a mouse twink, who is going to become more of a major character since two of people have become friends with them. And that's what happens when you guys become more close to characters. They will show up more. It's generally... That's why I wanted you to have... I was like, you guys should make more ties so I know who you want to show up more in the game.
Yeah, how much were you planning on Douglas Doyle being a character before I was like, Snake wants to break him out of prison?
0%.
Great.
Yeah,
as soon as you started talking about it, I was like, okay, I have to think about this guy more. Because I was like, this is going to happen. Because it took a while for, like, the actual breakout to happen because of various setbacks. So I had plenty of time. And, like, I was like, he could show up, but I don't know if he might just be talked to or something. I didn't know he would be, like, freed. He's freed and he's on the lam, but he's also okay because of Snake's power.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty much everyone that Dorothy has interacted with in any major way in the entire campaign are the party members and people who are related to her.
Yep. You started to branch out because Jacob forced you to, though, which is funny.
Yeah, I had to draw to convince lesbians I was normal.
You always put it like that.
I love putting it that way, because it's true.
I'm glad Iris showed back up in the story. Because she was originally just like the head of Urbex. I was calling it Eidolon Urbex, even though Urbex is not a thing anymore because of problems. So it's been like, oh yeah, nice. I'm glad she showed up again. Especially because I made hints about like she hasn't seen her brother in a while, and I wanted to see if anyone cared about that. But of course, it's Jacob's fucking roommate who he hates.
Yes, and you keep on mentioning that, hey, you haven't seen your roommate in quite a while, and that had to have come up like 10 sessions ago the first time, and it keeps on coming up more. And Jacob's like, nah, I hate that guy, not looking into it.
I love that. Honestly, it just tells me immediately, like, okay, he doesn't want to hear about that. Let's go in this other direction. He's getting hints from this, like, weird psychic person. Let's go for that. But I do think it's funny, because even if he doesn't care, his girlfriend would care, because her best friend is related. You know, like, there is going to be some triangulation. Even if he hates him, even if he hates his roommate, it's probably going to bite him in the ass not following up on this, and I do want to try to make some consequences for that. But I have to keep that in mind. So I'm saying it out loud so I can keep it in mind because I do want this to come bite Jacob in the ass.
Is this a school where if your roommate dies, you get an automatic A that semester?
I don't know. But it also, you would have to prove that your roommate died, you know? And they're not just missing. And the problem is that the undertow makes that hard.
Mm-hmm.
People can be gone for a long time.
Oh, no.
And the way that time works is that it hasn't actually been that long in real life.
No, Morg, that sounds like it's gonna be, it's gonna be a benefit to you if they're dead, but you gotta go retrieve the body.
Yep.
That's messed up.
Listen, they might give you some stuff if, like, your roommate's gone missing, but there's also, like, weirdness about, like, an adult going missing and stuff. Like, yeah, people can put out stuff for that, but it's a lot trickier than, like, if a kid's missing, you know? It's a little tricky. There's some weird legality, I'm sure. It depends a lot. But, yeah, so, I didn't mean to word it like that, I guess I wanted to say, but, like, it's funny that it came off that way. I was also just trying to say, like, hey, you essentially have a dorm to yourself, which is nice. And you can talk to people in your dorm if you would like to. That was kind of what I was hinting at also.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. That was just because I was like, I don't know, should I come up with a new place for you guys to hang out at? Oh, man. I've been having fun.
Yeah, it's been good.
And I'm a little bit worried about, because we're taking a break from this, going back to Fellowship, so I'm like, oh god, now I have to think about what the next, like, arc is gonna be.
You mentioned something about Bigfoot.
I did, but that might require, actually following through with the rest of you going to see Dorothy's family also.
Yeah.
And I don't think she would like that.
Yeah, like, originally the plan was to be like, okay, she's going to get quote-unquote dressed up in that particular way, just for Thanksgiving, but the whole election thing just kind of ruined her entire month now.
I kind of like the idea that maybe she, like, flew to California and then, like, the rest of you guys end up driving to meet her, or, like, end up going there and you have to, like, drive back. And, like, maybe that's when it'll happen. So that we don't have to...
Snake has driven cross country before, probably a few times, so no problem for them.
Probably very illegally also, because I don't know.
Oh, definitely. Their driver's license is extremely forged.
We love it. And I like that the forger, I made them have an Eidolon also.
Mm-hmm.
And that they have minions with Eidolon. And you still haven't given them new... You haven't given them a ton of new people to go. I think you gave them, like, one.
Yeah, I feel like at some point Snake just, like, went to a college party and, like, brought a keg and just talked very loudly about, you know, how good their fake ID is.
We should have that scene. I think that would be funny.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
But we can talk about that when we play the game again. Man. Eidolon's fun, and even though it's kind of a mess because it's still in playtest mode, I really like it.
Yeah, sometimes we
good.
start a session, we're like, oh, hey, Our class has entirely different moves now.
Oops.
Yep.
Ugh. Yeah, I like that we spent the whole time talking about Eidolon also after being like, maybe we won't spend the whole time on this.
That's mostly my fault, because I kept on bringing the topic back around.
No, it's been good. I think it's fun to give our listeners a taste of what our sessions have been like, and I feel like if we ever finish Eidolon, or when we finish Eidolon, I don't want to be like if we ever do, because that would be bad. But
I was hoping to hear a little bit about Izzy's model building, but I guess we can do that a different day.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to know about my model building?
I don't know, like where where do you get the parts from? Like, what kind of influences are you taking into the design process? Stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I'm sleep-addled today.
Yeah.
Same
TBH.
Yeah, I kind of want to say I get them from the store.
Fair enough.
Get the parts from the store.
That could definitely be an entire episode, or my chunk of an entire episode on its own.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's basically just kit bashing. If you're familiar with the term, I'm not a drawer like you. So if I can
a little,
not good at it though. But the thing is, like, I can build shit, and customize shit, so, I can, like, just create a character that way. Look, if you want to get into inspirations, I mean, hey, I have this whole bonus episode that I want to do that's all about, some stuff that has been heavy influences on me.
True.
I guess here's like some teasers for that.
Izzy.
I know. I'm trying to do a good podcaster job.
Izzy, you should play a Getter Robo character in Interstitial.
Oh, that would be...
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay. Okay. Denied.
Okay.
I don't have the fortitude and energy to do that.
Fair enough.
Did you want to plug our future stuff because of that? Because you want to talk about that?
Well, it's a matter of getting us to record it is the biggest thing.
Yeah, we got to work that out in host chat when we're scheduling it.
Okay. I just didn't know if we wanted to tease the listeners a little bit.
Oh, I mean, yeah. So this is gonna ruin the way I was going to introduce the episode. But hey, no, don't worry about it. It's just gonna be funny for me to introduce the episode the same way, and if they listen to this, then they already know. Hey, it has. Ostensibly, the episode is about Getter Robo. My notes go for multiple pages before I ever actually talk about Getter Robo, though.
Good.
Where should we... And this is gonna be on our...
We'll work it out. Probably on our main feed, unless we make a Patreon between then and now.
Yeah, we could always figure that out later, like...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough listeners for a Patreon.
So
yeah, I thought every time Patreon gets mentioned, I just assume it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like, also, like, I can talk to you about this after the recording.
You can always make like a Ko-fi or something. Like
Yeah,
something a little bit
uh,
more like
Ko-fi is way better than Patreon. Like it's almost exactly like effectively it's the same thing, but Ko-fi doesn't take all your money and
Yeah.
Patreon does.
we can talk about this off air. I was
Yeah,
it was
I know.
like a anyway.
Well, we don't have a Patreon, but where can you find us?
You can.
Noisepace.xyz.
You sure can.
It's a funny podcast network with good shows on it. Thank you, Matt GameCube.
Thank you, Matt GameCube.
Resident of Canada, a country which famously also touches the Great Lakes.
You're so right, though. Let me just swim across Lake Ontario and go fucking find Matt GameCube.
There was the day I asked Emery, "Hey, can you see Canada?" And I was told
Great.
no.
Yeah, Lake Big. It turns
Lake
out.
Big. You know, there used to be a ferry, like for a very, very short period of time. There used to be a ferry across the lake, but that does not exist anymore. Unfortunately. But yeah, you can find us in Noise Space. You can also find us on I'm gonna update them, I swear. I promise. I will update them. I'm so sorry, but you can find us on Co-Host and Tumblr at Check Out This Guy. You know, checkoutThisGuy.tumblr.com. That does exist. Because I want to make sure I update it, because like people have pictures of their guys, and I want to have them be able to show off their guys.
Oh my god. I just looked. That's fully 10 episodes behind.
I know, Izzy. I'm aware.
It's worse if you consider that I'm only counting released episodes.
I know.
Recorded ones.
I know.
Look, I don't get to drag your ass very often.
The Tumblr has been updated more recently than the Co-Host has, so probably check out the Tumblr.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. More people use Tumblr. Sorry.
Well, that's. I mean,
we also have a Discord.
Secretly, I have a Tumblr. I just don't post anything on it.
Are you sure you want to leave that? Are you sure you want to leave that in the episode?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
What's it matter?
Whatever.
I don't post anything on it. I only have the account so that I can, like, have a feed of, like, 3 people.
Okay. You can find us on our Discord, which will always be up to date, because...
where things are, like, active on a consistent basis.
Yeah. You can see my work in progress model building.
You can occasionally see my work in progress character drawing.
You can see my very awesome Christmas gift.
Every Monday we got someone showing something, and I think right now it's Big
Agumon.
Is it still called?
It's a vile show.
It's not Big Agu Mondays anymore. It's called Belfin Mondays. But either way,
yeah, that's because Belphamon showed up, and we love Belphamon.
It's Digimon.
Big baby. We're thinking about doing season 3 of Sonic X in the near future.
Oh boy.
The one where they go to space.
Yeah,
it's good. Good television.
And I'm advocating for us to just, like, watch some movies or miniseries for a few weeks, just to kind of get over the vibes of such long shows repeatedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just talking today about I want to show the Digimon 02 movie, Hurricane Touchdown, because that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's weird ass movie. Terrier Mun's in it.
Let's go. Yeah. And people stream games sometimes, and like you said, we stream art on Fridays and all that. As for where you can find me individually, you can also find me on co-host. I'm sorry I backtalked co-host. There are people on it. And I'm one of them, and it's at Gengar on co-host. You can also find me at Haunting the Morgue on most places, but especially Tumblr. And Blue Sky, I guess. You can find me on my other podcast, The Sonic Hustle, how the fuck? We changed sorry. It used to be the Sonic Shuffle, but now it's the Sonic Hustle, a holistic Sonic lore podcast where we changed the tagline a little bit because we're doing
I got excited because I didn't know what the tagline was.
Okay. Hold on. I can pull it up. I didn't know it was like...
I listen to the Sonic Shuffle now, the whatever this is, because it's good.
Good show. My friends are on it.
Thanks. I don't know how to compliment.
Can let me share something real quick about the Sonic Shuffle because it's extremely funny to me.
Okay.
I had somewhere in the back of my mind that Dan mentioned having a Sonic the Hedgehog podcast, and I had forgotten about it, and like we were talking about Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. I was like, okay, maybe I can go listen to a Sonic the Hedgehog podcast because I needed more podcasts to listen to at the time. So I went to and found Sonic Shuffle, and I was like, holy shit, I know that voice.
Great.
God.
I think I took out the paper that had the tagline on it, but just know we're like, instead of being randomized, it's like we have more of a set order now because it was just getting all over the place and it was taking too long to get to games, and that's kind of what Sonic is known for. And we also wanted to like complain about Ken Penders for a couple weeks, I guess. So.
Oh, yeah. It was gonna take you until, like, when you were age 347.
Yeah, it was gonna be...
Before you would finally get to talk about the best arc in Archie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was also gonna take a while for us to get to fucking Shadow the Hedgehog, and I want to talk about those damn Chaos Emeralds. So...
Yeah, there's so many good things, like, that would not have happened for 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
God.
So yeah, you can listen to that. And that's kind of it for me, although someone did start listening to Ford ReZero, so I'm like, should I keep plugging it? I don't know. Someday that'll update.
I mean, plugging it worked.
Yeah, I guess so. You could listen to Ford ReZero, a ReZero Watch podcast. Those are both on Noisepace also. And that's it for me.
I got a podcast called We Rate Queerbait. It's a good show. It's a funny one. We just put out our episode on Holes, and very soon we'll be publishing our episode on Digimon Survive. It's a show where we explore the blurry line between homie and homo. We look at things that aren't, that really seem like they're gay, even if even if they're saying the loud part, we're not gay, we take a look at the quiet part, it is gay, and we talk about that. And also we talk about, we talked about the no homo, the no hetero, and the no romo. We really cover it all on We Rate Queerbait, the podcast that I make, and I have a fur affinity with the username Space Robot. I draw funny little animal people there. Go look at my gallery. Go commission me to draw your OCs or whatever. You can get in touch with me about commissions at spacerobotart@gmail.com, or just message me on Discord, whatever. I'm also on an upcoming audio drama pilot. News forthcoming. One of these days I'll stop saying like, oh yeah, it's gonna be happening soon, and it will actually have happened. Who knows when?
Hooray. Yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's it.
Because you can find Izzy, like, on the Discord. We plugged that earlier. Sorry, Izzy.
Yes, I know that. I was gonna plug something, though.
Please do.
Oh.
A little birdie told me that someone other than Emery asked me to guest on a podcast, so that'll be happening in the next couple weeks.
Ooh, what podcast?
We write Queerbait.
No.
Is he coming back for round 3? I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this time it wasn't you.
Mm-hmm.
Very surprising.
That's why I was like, oh, is it another podcast? I'm very smart. Anyway.
All right.
Well, I mean, that was intentional.
Until next time, I'm gonna go take a nap. Bye, everyone.
Me too.
Until next time.
Bye, everyone. Sleep tight.
Don't sleep too tight or you might fall into the undertow. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.